Welcome to Universal UK News, a brand new YouTube channel where I'm going to be bringing you all of the latest news and updates and my own opinions and takes on the Universal Studios Great Britain project. I'm a huge theme park fanatic. Me and my wife travel all around the world going to theme parks, and we've had some amazing trips to Universal Orlando and Universal Hollywood, and we're lucky enough to be going to Universal Studios Japan in just a few months. Of course, I'll be bringing you my impressions on this channel. But imagine our surprise when we heard that they might be building a Universal Studios in the UK. And this seems to be a lot further along than just some kind of rumour. This is something that's got a pretty good chance of happening. So on the site, I think we're going to start off with some of these monthly videos where I'll update you on the process so far, what's been happening with this project. And since this is the first one, let's start at the beginning. Back in late 2023, there were some rumours circling around what Universal Studios were going to do next. Obviously, they've already got 5 Universal Studios theme parks, so Hollywood, Orlando, Singapore, Japan and Beijing, Beijing being the newest one. They're also building a couple of other attractions, like a permanent horror maze, like Horror Nights thing going on in Las Vegas, and also a smaller family park that I think is going to be in Texas. I might have that wrong. Let me know in the comments. Correct me if I get anything wrong. And there'd been rumours that maybe Universal could even be rebuying Portaventura, which is a theme park in Salou, just near Barcelona in Spain. Just because people had seen, I think, some Universal Studios staff wandering around the park, and they thought maybe that's what's happening. But that seemed to come to nothing. But then some more rumours started that Comcast, who are the parent company of Universal, had bought 500 acres of land near Bedford with a plan to be building a Universal Studios park in the UK. Now, at first, lots of people were quite skeptical of this, but because it's a property deal, like they'd actually bought the land, we could see that this definitely had happened. But lots of people thought, oh, maybe these are just going to be more movie studios, maybe it's going to be something where they're going to be filming something, or it could even just be some huge office space or something like that. But then Universal also trademarked Universal Studios Great Britain and Halloween Horror Nights in the UK. Now, this was kind of not exactly proof, but this was a lot more convincing than everything else. The idea that they'd bought a bunch of land and they'd just trademarked Universal Studios Great Britain gave a pretty clear indication as the direction they were going. And then in December of 2023, Universal Studios confirmed that yes, they had bought this land with a plan to build a Universal Studios park in the UK. And while at the moment, they put up a website just sort of detailing this, they said at the moment they're just studying the feasibility of it. They're going to make a decision in the months to come. And they said it could be many months before they make a decision about whether this is moving forward. So that's pretty exciting. Like, they've already bought the land. And for context, that 500 acres is pretty huge. While on Wikipedia, for some reason, they list that Thorpe Park is about 400 acres. I had a look on Google Earth, and if you include the area with just the rides, it's nowhere near that. It's more like 45 acres. If you include the car parks and the support buildings and therefore a bit of the lake as well, you can get up to about 150 acres. But to get to 400 acres, you've basically got to include the entire lake, which is definitely not used as a theme park. Something like Animal Kingdom, which is the biggest theme park in the world, so Animal Kingdom over in Orlando, that's about 500 acres, including the safari. So when they've said they've bought 500 acres of land near Bedford for a theme park, obviously a lot of that would be used for things like car parks and a hotel, probably something like a city walk with shops and restaurants. It's still a big parcel of land, and you could build a pretty impressive theme park on there. Magic Kingdom, one of the most famous theme parks in the world, is only about 110 acres. So they could build a theme park of that size and still have plenty of land for all of the supporting structures that go around it. This is a pretty big deal. This would be a major theme park, not just some kind of little side thing like Universal Studios have been doing elsewhere. Right now, the latest official word from Universal Studios on it is on the Universal UK project website, where they just state clearly they are still studying the feasibility of the project. They will make a decision whether to move forward in the months to come. They've also shared a letter that they've sent out to residents saying kind of what their plans are for the area and inviting their feedback. Now, this is where we can get into some more kind of good news, because that all sounds very tentative. That all sounds like, oh, they're not really sure if this is going to be happening or not. But the local council and the local mayor have been super supportive of this project. They've been talking about it as if it's kind of the future for the area. They've already been talking about how infrastructure could change, so they could be changing some of the rail lines that go very nearby to the site. There's some major roads that go near the site that would be perfect for supporting a theme park. This is already looking like it's in a much better position than some other failed theme park projects have, like the infamous London Resort project, which some of you might have heard as like the Disneyland of the UK. People said straight away from the beginning that looked a bit like a scam. They weren't buying land, they were just talking about different areas, and it constantly faced opposition from local government and local communities. This seems to have a lot more support from the local community. The site that Comcast have bought is a previous brickwork, so it's not like it's an area of natural beauty or environmental importance. It was already being used for something quite industrial, so therefore it's kind of a lot more suited to a theme park. Plus, the government, so the current Conservative government, have also shown support for the project, saying that, yep, they are aware of it and they are doing what they can to kind of support it moving forwards, because they can see that it would be very good for the local economy. It is worth mentioning for my international viewers that we will have a new government pretty soon. We've got an election due, so it's not going to be this current government who are going to be moving forwards with the project if the project does move forwards. But the fact that they're already supporting it is a pretty good sign. I can't see a reason why another government would move against this. It doesn't seem to have any kind of negative press about it right now at all. Now, obviously, we don't know what the park would look like, or what rides would be in there, what lands would be in there, what IPs are going to be used in it. We do have a piece of concept art from a Twitter account called Ali with way too many letters in their name. Now, this is apparently a quite old piece of concept art. It seems to be in the same style as the Epic Universe concept art. That's a theme park that they're currently building in Orlando that's going to open next year. It's in the same style as that, but it does look real to me. It looks official. Apparently, I've heard people saying that maybe this was for a project that never really got off the ground. It was like an early idea for what a UK theme park could look like. So it might give us an idea of the sort of thing they're planning on building. And in the concept art, you can see a large hotel at the front of the park. It's got a rail link, like we talked about. There are train lines that go close to this new site. A bit like Disneyland Paris, having an actual train station kind of as part of the resort is absolutely awesome. And then it's got a huge roller coaster at the back and lots of kind of unique looking buildings that don't look like any other Universal Studios park. And that's really exciting. I'd much rather have something unique rather than just a copy of one of the other parks. There has also been talk for a long while that Universal Studios bought the rights to Lord of the Rings and just never used it. Lord of the Rings for the parks, that is. So I think the UK would be a pretty good place to have a Lord of the Rings themed area. That would be pretty cool. I can imagine them doing something like that. But right now, this is all speculation. This image is old and outdated. It's definitely not like concept art for this specific park. I imagine we wouldn't get something like that until they properly put in planning permission for it. But when they do that, of course, I'll bring you the news right now. But do let me know in the comments, what sort of thing would you like to see? I'd be really interested to have a bit of a discussion about the sorts of things people would be excited for. So right now, I would say the chances are pretty good that something will come of this. Obviously, we have to be a little bit cautious. There's plenty of theme parks around the world, like a lot of the ones that were starting to be built in Dubai, that started construction even. They got way beyond planning. They got to construction and then they failed, and then those projects shut down. So we need to be a little bit cautious, but I'm pretty hopeful. It seems unlikely that Comcast would spend all of this money to buy this land and make these kind of public consultations if they weren't serious about it. And the fact that there's been so much positive support from the local community, from the local council, and from the government can only be a good sign. So I'll be discussing every single update that I hear about this project as soon as it happens right here on Universal UK News. So make sure you subscribe and turn your notifications on. Thank you, and I'll see you for the next one. Goodbye.